On the verge of their first undefeated tour of Australia, the Springboks named an unchanged 15 for their return to Sydney and the third test. It was to be the last of Frick Dupree's 38 tests, while the whole team had to recover from a tear gas attack after a canister was thrown onto the team bus on the way to the ground. Wallaby coach Des Connor announced his resignation before the match began, while former skipper Peter Johnson was dropped for the first time in his 40-test career. Stuart McDougall was one of the two debutants in the front row, Kiwi-born Bob Thompson becoming the first player picked from Western Australia to play for the Wallabies. He was named at hooker. With John Hipwell out injured, Mick Barry took over at scrum half for his one and only test appearance.
This was the third test in the series. The South Africans were going for a clean sweep of the series and also a clean sweep of the 13-odd matches that they'd played here. One of the interesting things was it's probably the last tour where that had games in Adelaide and Western Australia and the country. Those games now under the present system, of course, have disappeared. So they were spreading the rugby word around Australia, and they'd done a pretty good job under the circumstances with the apartheid thing.
Adding to the drama of the previous tests with the anti-apartheid demonstrators and some of the things that were happening out in the streets where the police forces people were throwing marbles under them and causing all sorts of problems. Adding to the drama, Des Connor decided that he'd hang up his boots, and he announced before the last test that he was retiring as a national coach, which was a great tragedy because Des brought a lot to the game, a lot of innovation. He was a very, very good player and a great reader of the game.
They'd gone one step further. They dug holes in the side of the field and had sand bunkers beside the holes where if anything come over the fence, they just throw it in these holes and fill them up and stand a steel plate on top of them, which was very unnerving. It's all right for the forwards. They had about 8 of them to hang around together, but standing on the wing on your own, like I said to Coley after the game, I said, mate, how'd you feel? He said, mate, I was all right for the first half. He said, I was on the grandstand side. He said, you're on the hill.
And look, there's something on the field which is very pleasant too. Back from overseas, Australia's great referee, Dr. Roger Vanderfield, who's been given control of this third match. The referee, Dr. Vanderfield, the kick-off to Australia, and here's the start of the third international. And the first scrum of the game to pack down about 10 yards out from the Springbok 25, loose head Australia, and Mick Barry coming up to put the ball in the scrum. A penalty to the Springboks.
Penalty going against Barry, not going in correctly into the scrum. Dr. Vanderfield, one of the best referees I think we've ever had in this country, and it's very welcome to see him back again in the role as a test referee.
And McCallum, the long one, right along the side. And there's a glorious kick from McCallum, right down to the far end of the field. But it crossed the line back outside the 25s. Gregory standing at number 2. Way up to Sullivan at the end of the line out. And McLean. A winger on the far side. Cole gets a great bounce. Cole back into Knight. Down inside the 25, but recalled for the knock-on. And again a clash of players. Duplessis there, and there were 3 South Africans, and one of the Australians is on the ground. Dupree winning that one. Now Cronje, Janssen on the wing is no Viljoen stepping brilliantly. Well tackled though. Viljoen coming back into midfield. And here's no fullback here. Here's a chance. The ball's near the line. It's on the toe is Crailing. Masaki's there. It's a try. Masaki has scored. Well, for Masaki, the Springbok 5'8", that's 3 tries in 2 matches. He scored 2 in Brisbane. He followed on from Crailing, the breakaway forward, number 6. First score of the match, and the Springboks in front by 3 points to 0.
Here comes your action replay. The ball goes astray and is towed along quite well by the South African players, and they managed to keep it on the ground. Now here's Fasaki, number 10, just took it from his fellow player, Grayling.
And it was Fasaki who kicked the conversion. Fasaki taking over from McCallum. McCallum wasn't so successful with the boot in Brisbane, so Fasaki getting all of the 5 points, the converted try, the Springboks leading 5-0, and we've had 13 minutes of play. Richardson along the Australian backline for a change, and Knight almost through. Shaw. And into touch goes Viljoen. You notice the different marking or the numbering of the South Africans. They number their wingers 14 and 13. I see that Viljoen is wearing 13 and Namus 14. Well, they have it the other way around in the program, but the Australian wingers wear 14 and 11. Oh, a bad one back to Barry. Here's Richardson. Richardson playing well, coming through fast is McLean. McLean might get a good bounce here, but it kicked right over the sideline. The ball almost bouncing back into his hands. Played down on the South African 25. Playing for Australia now, Sullivan to Shaw. Here's Knight. Knight could score. It's close. Looking for their ball, Australia. Australia winning this ruck could be dangerous. Here they come out along the back line to Knight. Richardson only 10 yards out. And a penalty, Australia. And all of a sudden, Australia found a burst of attacking energy that was missing all of last week in the test in Brisbane. He's missed it. Long one for Sullivan. And Sullivan clean through, looking for Davis it was who dropped it.
And I'm afraid that that's been a little bit of the story of Australia's play today. On several occasions, they've had the opportunity of making the break, and someone has put the ball to ground. That was a good move, came off well. Davis did very well to be up with Sullivan, but down to ground it went, and now a penalty going against the Springboks. And it appears that referee Dr. Van der Field was speaking to the South African hooker.
It looks a good kick. It's going to be close. It's there. It never went more than probably a foot over the bar. And Jeff McLean, I think he's the fourth of the McLean family from Brisbane to come into the Australian team, and he scored a great penalty goal. It makes it 5-3. Dupree. Look at these South African forwards. Now Morea. And every time they find a man, that's Janssen. Viljoen, the far side, beautiful play for the other Viljoen, and Viljoen goes for the corner, and it's no try again. Australia saved the day. Now what will it be? Will it be a line out? Yes, it's a line out, about a foot short. And here's over, a man over the line. They were standing right on the line. Now that becomes a scrum. Now in that case, that line out couldn't have been any closer to the Australian line. Number 7 for the Springboks is Jan Ellis. And the halfback sending a long one out to Cronje. Cronje goes for the corner. Is he over? Yes, again, the Springboks are able to score. And that pass from the halfback was thrown to the outside centre.
And watch the dummy around about the halfback area. And here it comes. Viljoen is the halfback putting it in. Out he comes, there he goes. He dummies to give it to a player and then throws the wide pass right out. And of course, the Australian defence were caught out purely and simply because of that dummy that made them all hesitate. Now here's the kick coming up.
And notice by Vasaki once again and not McCallum. And yes, it's there, so the Springboks lead by 10 points to 3 with just 1 minute to go to half-time. Viljoen back to the forwards. Half-time siren. Janssen, Viljoen coming this side. Look at the support. Vasaki out to Nomus. Nomus has only the fullback in front. Maybe a late tackle here. That could be some form of penalty. Let's see what happens. Richardson saves it. It's a penalty. Now, let's see what the ruling is here. I thought there may have been a late tackle. A penalty has been awarded. It's there, so at half-time, the Springboks lead by 13 points to 3. That's McDougall for the Australians, but Viljoen to Vasaki. Along the back line, they're all there to Cronje, to Nomus. Nomus has fullback McCallum, that's McCallum. McCallum down to the 25. And a good tackle there. Now, who was that made that tackle? It looked like one of the back row forwards. I'd say it was Sullivan. A beautiful tackle. Now, Richardson along the Lord Shore to Knight. And out to the wing on this side is Cole. Cole's close to the line. And Cole was over, but the ball was knocked forward.
As the ball went astray between the two centres, Shaw and Knight. And the ball was propelled forward. Cole snapped it up, but it was no go as far as the referee was concerned.
Tight head Australia. Richardson. Now Barry the halfback going in, looking for support here, try to Australia. Cole's over, forward pass. Now, back line in there, fullbacks joining in. There's McGill coming in, but he was caught by the opposing player. There's Lowe breaking away. Lowe, the front row forward. Look at him go. And Lowe back to Ellis. Ellis with Davis after him. Ellis is beautifully fast. He's between the posts. Magnificent try. Front row forward at a breakaway. The two of them just charged away from the whole Australian team, and Ellis is the scorer to make it 16 points to 3.
Has been one of the stars. His backing up has been tremendous, and for a wing forward, as you saw, he has great pace in backing up, and Lowe, of course, did the job. And there's the kick, and it's an additional 2 points.
Cole, and the angle kick across field for McCallum. And McCallum beautifully stepping up to halfway. Intercept by McLean, must be a try. McLean could score if he's got the speed here. Du Plessis after him, will he get there? He's very close. And McLean just couldn't get to his speed in the first couple of paces, but I would say that should have been a try.
Well, most surprising that it wasn't a try, because he had plenty of room. He has tremendous pace, didn't get into it quickly. Fasaki got across to him, covered him reasonably well, but McLean paused just once, just before coming to Fasaki. I feel if he hadn't have paused, he could have made it.
Now, Australia's back line moving. Out to Shaw, out to the wing of Cole. Cole must score. It's a try to Australia. Well, they've finally done it. And the crowd roars its head off. Australia has finally scored to make it 18 points to 6. Cole going over for the try, and the kick at goal to come.
And it came 3 minutes, just 3 minutes before half-time. Here it comes now. Let's have a look at it. Good play by Shaw when it gets out to Shaw, and here it comes. And there is Shaw, gets through the gap, does it very well, and sends Cole well clear, crosses it, and runs round towards the post.
And hit the upright, so the Australians, well, they can do one thing right in the second half. So it's 18-6, about 3 minutes to go, probably 2.5 minutes to go. But the scoring in the second half has only been 5 South Africa, 3 Australia.
And Australia's score would have been much better had they been in goal-kicking form.
Now Barry working this side. Here's a chance. Cole again. Cole using the short one. It's up over halfway. And in touch it goes, about 12 yards inside the Springbok half. And a tug of war going on there. Ellis wins it. Now Vasaki, and a knock on perhaps by Vasaki, yes. Knock on, so a scrum just outside the Springbok 25. Now who's there? This is Shaw, is it? And his kick back to one of the forwards. And in touch on the full, so back it comes to about 12 yards out from the Springbok 25. Clock showing right on time, so very soon the full-time hooter. And Ellis taking it off the half-back, and there's the hooter to end the game. Yes, and it's all over. The Springboks have won by 18 points to 6, and they have won the series by 3 matches to 0.
We weren't all that disappointed under the circumstances. I guess in summary, the Springboks were fairly steeled towards the demonstrators. You know, they'd received a lot of these demonstrations before at home and abroad, so they were perhaps a little more prepared than we were, and I guess the distractions did affect us more.
I think basically being an inside back, having, as I said, such an awesome back row running at you all the time. If Pete Grayling missed you, then Jan Ellis got you. So I think it was one of the matches, well, the series of matches whereby I think I made the least number of breaks, and so did Stephen Knight. So they had a fairly, as I said, a very awesome back row.
I decided before this test that was the end of my coaching career. I got to the stage where all that I could contribute seemed to have been exhausted, and I'd exhausted my experience that I had had as a rugby player. And there were a number of people in the wings, and Bob Templin was the obvious choice to take the Wallabies to France.